25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Years ago, I was working at the Nassau Coliseum in New York, where they had concerts all the time. And you know who I met? I met Earth, Wind, and Fire. And now it turns out that I might be Earth, Wind, or Fire, or Wood, or something else. And we're gonna learn about this. This is a fascinating book. It's called The 5 Elements: Understand Yourself and Enhance Your Relationships with the Wisdom of the World's Oldest Personality Type System. And to teach us about this, and my gosh, the book left me with more questions, I think, than I thought I was going to have. Dondi Dahlin is the author of the book. She is an internationally acclaimed dancer, a teacher, a member of the Screen Actors Guild. She's an award-winning speaker, and again, her book is called The 5 Elements. Good morning, Dondi. How are you?
Good morning, Larry. I'm great. Thank you. Calling you from the other coast, from California.
The other coast. Well, thank you for getting up early to be with us today. What part of
my pleasure.
What part of California?
I am in San Diego, so I'm about 20 minutes from the border, tucked away down here in the heat. We're having a heat wave right now.
Oh, are you really? Yeah, that's a beautiful area. Yeah.
It is.
So, is this something that you use in your own life? The 5 elements?
The 5 elements are, yes, it is something I use in my own life. I started learning them as a little girl. My mom taught them to me. And as I went on in life through junior high, high school, college, they started becoming more and more profound to me and more important as I entered into relationships, whether that was relationships in love or work or friends.
Oh, really?
And I noticed that oh my gosh, yes. This system is incredible. It makes all relationships easier, all relationships richer, more beautiful, and less stressful.
So the types, I said earth, wind, and fire, but wind is not one of them, right?
Wind is not one of them, but I do love the music.
So it's water, wood, fire, earth, and metal.
That's it. You got.
Really? I think I'm more of a wood. Are you still there?
Well, why don't I tell you about the wood? I'll tell you about the wood, and you can tell me if it fits you.
Okay, let me see.
The woods, the woods are the doers. They, oh my gosh, they're relentless when they have a project. They exude confidence. If a wood can imagine it, it will be done. They will do
Larry.
it, and they'll do it really well.
Yeah, that's Larry.
Okay, but I haven't.
All the time.
Robin says that's me, but okay, but I haven't heard what the other ones are. Maybe I'm them too. Do you know what? The reason I say I'm a wood is because I play an instrument and I like the wood instruments. I like the guitar, the wooden guitars. And I like the acoustic. I have an acoustic accordion, and believe it or not, it's mostly wood that makes. Well, there's got reeds in there that's made out of something, but the wood is what holds it all together.
Okay. Well, let me tell you about the water type, because the water types are your musicians.
Oh, really?
They love music. They love,
Well, wait a minute. I'm an Aquarius. According to the Zodiac people, I'm an Aquarius.
Well, this doesn't match up with the astrology, whether it's Eastern astrology or Western. This is a system all its own. Although I do have to say, when you start looking at all the personality type systems in astrology and the doshas in Ayurveda, or even Myers-Briggs and the Enneagrams, it's amazing how when you know your type, you can look across the board at all of them and they will correlate, even though they aren't connected directly. It's pretty cool. And just back to water, because you did mention the music, I do want to say tones in music, tones in people's voices are very, very important to water types.
Oh, really?
And they really listen for the depth in the music, the meaning behind the words. They're very much into meaning. So maybe you're a water wood or a wood water. Maybe the combination.
Well, like a canoe. A canoe is wood and water. They mix together.
That's right. That's right.
So do you use this to determine how you eat? Do you use this to determine who you date and then eventually marry? Or how do you use this?
This is fantastic for determining who you date. In fact, in my book, The 5 Elements, I talk about my friend Kelly. And this is a true story. She came up to me one day and she said, "Oh my gosh, Dondi, I'm going on all of these matchmaking sites and I'm filling out the questionnaires, these single websites, because I really want to find my soul partner. And I'm filling out the questionnaires and I wish I could just say that I am a water earth and have everyone understand what that means instead of filling out the whole questionnaire." It's incredible. Once you know about these types, water, wood, fire, earth, and metal, you'll not only know what you want in a person, you'll know what you want to stay away from. And you'll also look at people in terms of if they're mentally, physically, and emotionally balanced. For example, a water person who is balanced is very different than an imbalanced water, and that goes for all the elements.
Okay.
So when I was a teenager and getting into college, for whatever reason, I was attracting imbalanced water men. And
I think all women experience this. You know why? Because all men are imbalanced at that age.
And she says the cafes in Paris are filled with them, so.
Oh, I bet they are. If I go to Paris, I'm going to be imbalanced.
Well, for me, it was a great epiphany because I knew I didn't want any more imbalanced watermen. I wanted fires, so I started looking at fires. You can attract these certain. Yeah, I wanted fires.
Men want fires too. They want hot. All right, so I have a serious question actually. Okay, so here's the serious one. Okay, when you're using this to find a partner, soulmate, a partner, somebody to fall in love with and live your life, that's one thing. You pick that person. But what about the people you really don't pick? The children that you have eventually, the brothers and sisters that you have from the beginning. I mean, you have to get along with those people too. Do you use this to better get along with them or understand them better, or how do you apply this?
Yes, that's exactly it. So when you know that your child, let's say your child is a metal type of people can seem a little detached. They can seem a little bit cold at times. It's part of their journey. They're usually on a different path. Some people say it's a higher path. I just say it's a different path. But when you know that, let's just look at that really fast. When you know your son or your daughter is a metal, and let's say they're a teenager, instead of taking it personally and saying, "Oh, my daughter just won't talk to me anymore," or "My son doesn't like me," you start looking at the elements. Oh, my son is a metal element. And then you can look at their health challenges, because this goes really deep into health. It's not only a personality type system, it's a health system. So, for instance, the two organs that are governed by metal are the lungs and the large intestine. And you start looking at that. Are there challenges around the lungs and the large intestine? If so, and what they would do in China is use Chinese medicine to prevent further challenges before they got worse. So it's fantastic for working with kids, for working with siblings. I have a sister who is an earth, and I'm very much a wood, and wood and earth can push each other's buttons. But because we know that in advance, we can stay away from the triggers that bother each other, and we know how to work with each other better because she knows how to work with my wood. She knows what I value. I know what she values, and it's totally different than what I value, but because I understand it, I can reach her better. She can reach me better.
It was interesting that you used some famous people as examples, and because they're famous, they might have 2 or 3 different selves. I mean, how could you pinpoint the real self?
Yes, that's true, and I give a little disclaimer in my book to any famous person who's reading it, and I say whether I worked with you, because I've worked with some famous people. I may have worked with you, or I may have just seen you in the movies. I have pinpointed the element that has come out strongest in the public. But many of these people are very different behind closed doors. In public, when I'm working, I'm very wood. And when I get home, I'm very water. And so we don't see what goes on behind closed doors. And I am sure that is a reality of most famous people, that they're different behind closed doors.
Okay, Kurt Cobain is in the water. If I'm a water, I'm never going to kill myself. So that one is drop out of there.
No, we'll take his name.
Stevie Nicks. Oh, she's a water, huh? That's cool. Janis Joplin is water. Nicolas Cage is water. Kevin Costner is water. So is there a way to find out what we are?
Yes, the easiest way to find out what you are is to take a quiz. In my book, The 5 Elements, there are quizzes at the end of every chapter, but if somebody doesn't have the book, they can go online. There's a free quiz at learnthefiveelements.com, and it takes about 4 to 5 minutes to take the quiz. And it will come up with your primary element and your secondary element, and then you can read about what those mean at learnthefiveelements.com.
What's Learn the 5? Do you spell out the word 5?
Yes.
Spell out the word 5, learnthefiveelements.com.
Okay.
And also with the book title, you spell out the word 5, the 5 elements.
Okay.
Can a person change, like maybe, the first part of their life, they're one element, and then they morph into something else and they become another element, or do you stay the same the whole time?
That's a great question. So usually when somebody seems to be one element for the beginning of their life, and then maybe when they're a teenager or an adult, they change to another element. If you look back at their life, you can see that they probably were both all along, but one was more dormant. And this comes into our surroundings, the way we're raised. Maybe you're a fire, but you're raised in a family that is oppressing your fire. They're saying, be quiet, don't speak until you're spoken to, you need to calm down, stop fidgeting, all the things that a fire does. They're very active in their body. They move around a lot, and they talk a lot and laugh a lot. If that's being oppressed, their fire is going to get doused, and maybe it won't come out until they leave the home or later. I was very water when I was growing up, and I thought I became wood later on, and then my mom said, no, you always had the wood in you. It for whatever reason, it was a little bit more dormant.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, I started taking the test, and during the break, I'm going to take the rest of it, and let's see what I am. We'll see what I am. And these are interesting questions, by the way. So if you want to do it at home, go to the website, learnthefiveelements.com. Spell out the word 5, and you can do the same thing I'm doing right now. So we'll take a little break and be right back. Dondi Dahlin is on the phone out in San Diego. It's 10:987. It's 7:48 in the morning over there.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we will take a little break and be right back with Dondi after this.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. And this Tuesday, partly sunny with a thunderstorm around in the afternoon, a high 88 to 92. Then clear to partly cloudy Tuesday night with a low of 71 to 75. Wednesday will be partly sunny with a shower or thunderstorm popping up in the afternoon, high 86 to 90. Thursday, times of sun and clouds with a shower or thunderstorm at any time, high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, my name is Erica Olstein. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine. So, you used to be wired, now you're just tired. You used to be thin, but now you're the heaviest you've ever been. You don't necessarily always have to take a med if your thyroid is playing dead. If you have a thyroid disorder, an acupuncture visit may be in order. Come visit me, your primary care physician, Erica Olstein, at A Better You Healthcare. Call me at 352-615-5566.
Until you go into Automax, Marion County's #1 pre-owned dealer for over 15 years, and see their upfront pricing and how Automax puts their low outlet price, along with the Carfax and complete vehicle information on the window of every single vehicle. Then, and only then, can you take advantage of great finance offers, like rates from 2% with 0 down, and no payments for 90 days with loan approval. View all these great prices and vehicles on the corner of 17th and Easy Street. Automax. Quality cars, outlet prices.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
Hey Ocala, this is Kelly Hart, Executive Editor of Ocala Magazine. Did you know last year Ocala Magazine won more awards in excellence than any other publication in Florida? And this year, Ocala Magazine was named Best Consumer Magazine in the state. Now you can join me every Friday at 10 a.m. on Ocala Magazine Radio, where we bring the pages of Ocala Magazine to life, right here on The Source. Ocala Magazine thanks you for making us #1. And remember, there is only one Ocala Magazine.
Hey, I'm Gary.
And I'm Eric. Did you know that Red Eye Radio is on WOCA The Source every night from 2 to 6 a.m. and it's live?
That's right. No tape shows here.
We know that the news doesn't sleep.
And neither do we. So we're here with you live from 2 till 6 a.m. every weekday. Call us 866-90-RED-EYE. So join me, Gary McNamara.
And me, Eric Harley, every weeknight to discuss the latest in news and entertainment.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
This is WOCA, News Talk 1370.
All right, 8 minutes before 11 o'clock. Dondi Dahlin is on the phone. I'm taking a very interesting quiz on her website, LearnThe5Elements.com. And we're talking about the book, The 5 Elements, Understand Yourself and Enhance Your Relationships with the Wisdom of the World's Oldest Personality Type System. I didn't know this was the oldest system, Dondi. And thank you for waiting through the break. Gosh, the quiz is so interesting.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it. I took a long time to put the questions together and really deeply thought about each element, and then I surveyed people and I said, how does this feel for you as a water? How does this feel for you as an earth?
Yeah,
so I'm glad you like it.
So I don't want, if I went through the whole test, it would take up too much time, but I want to tell you some of the ones that I either gave a 5 or a 1 to, okay? Because a lot of them are more like a 4 or a 3, and 1 is not true, and 5 is true on the test. Okay. Oh, sorry, Rob. Now we hear you. Okay. All right. So I like being the center of my family, a person they can talk to and confide in for support. The part about being the center didn't matter to me, but I do like being somebody who can be trusted in. So I put a 5 on that one. If someone feels left out, I often feel like it's my responsibility to make them feel included. That's a 5.
That's you forever.
I do that all the time. You want to know which one is you, Robin? Here's one I can answer for Robin. I will often say, I'm sorry, even if it really isn't my fault. That's Robin. All the time. I put a 2 because I do that now and then, but Robin does it as if she's a Canadian because Canadians do that all the time.
I was just in Canada. I was just in Nova Scotia, and the Nova Scotians kept asking me, "What elements are we? What elements are we?" And the element that you're bringing up right now for both of you is Earth. That's a lot of Earth.
We're a lot of Earth.
Making people feel included. Yeah. Having great compassion for others, and Earth people never get too self-focused. Like woods, they're on a mission. They're very self-focused. It's about what they need, what they want. And
Simon Cowell. You have Simon Cowell as a wood. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do. I have Simon Cowell, and part of the reason I have him is because woods really, they're not very tactful. They value truth, and they're going to say it like it is. But the ones that you brought up, wanting people to feel included, saying sorry when it's not your fault, this is Earth. They want peace. They want people to feel comforted, and they're going to be the caretaker. Those are very Earth qualities.
Yeah. One that I said not true at all. I put one. I have a hard time accepting unabashed happiness and expressive joy in others. I love when people express their joy.
Yes.
So this is a fascinating test.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So I'm wondering if by the time I get to the end of it, if I'll really be. What do you say I am? An Earth? You think?
So far.
Well, so far you mentioned two. Only I think each element gets 10 or 12 questions, and 2 of them were Earth that you said. The one you said didn't resonate with you. That the analysis of enthusiasm and not understanding unabashed happiness, that's a metal. A lot of times metals aren't so connected to the emotions of joy and happiness.
Oh, really? Well,
so that would tell me you probably aren't a metal.
So where does this come from, Dondi? Does this? It says it's the oldest personality type system. Does it come from Native American culture or Asian culture? Where does it come from?
It comes from Asian culture. So the 5 elements is from China, and it's theorized that they're probably around 5,000 years old, though they were first written into medical text a little over 2,000 years ago. And so your systems like acupuncture, feng shui, these are based on the 5 elements. And so the 5 elements in Asian culture, especially ancient Asian culture, were seen in everything. People would wake up in the morning and look to the 5 elements about how they were going to live that specific day and what they would do that day. And if they needed more metal in their life that day or more fire in their life that day, they would balance the elements.
Were the examples in your book like Samuel? That was a heart-touching one. Did he actually talk to you, or were you observing?
But a little bit of both. I mean, I have the stories in the book. I observed people. I was in relationships with the people. They're all true stories. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. But they're all true stories, and they're people who really fell very specifically into the elemental type.
Because he had physical problems. It wasn't just emotional for him. It was physical, and you categorized him as a metal.
Yes, that's true. So every element has different organs that they govern, and with metal, it is the lungs and the large intestine. And a lot of times people will first learn about the 5 elements when they go to a Chinese doctor, a doctor of Chinese medicine. And the doctor will first assess what their element is and look to that element for their health challenges. So a lot of people work with the 5 elements only in health. I work with it more in a personality type system, but I was raised in the health field with my mom, and she's the one who taught me the elements. So it's fascinating. For me as a wood, my organs are gallbladder and liver, and I just know that I need to be a little bit more careful when it comes to the gallbladder and liver. Liver deals with detoxing, so I know that foods, my environment, they're probably going to affect me and impact me a little bit more than the other elements. And so you start looking at it in that way and using preventative measures to make your life healthier and not deal with the challenges that somebody will deal with if they don't know the elements.
Wow.
All right. Let's see. I'm something. I don't know what I am. I have to enter my name. Hold on. I got to enter my name.
Did you do all the questions?
I did all the questions.
Okay.
Now I'm entering my name. Okay. Larry Whitler. My email. Okay. I'm trying to do this and talk at the same time. Okay. This is going to be interesting.
Now, did you rush through the quiz?
No. I really digested everyone and thought about it.
Thorough.
I promise. Yeah, I was trying to be real. You may close this message by clicking outside the box. Thank you. Okay, now what am I? I'm an Earth. You pegged. Look at that. I'm an Earth. You are empathetic, compassionate, supportive, and diplomatic.
You are all those things.
Your second element is wood. See, I knew I was a wood somewhere.
Well, you know what? Your voice sounds very wood. Your voice is very solid and strong. So it does not surprise me. And an Earth wood would. What a great combination.
Go to
Nice.
learnthe5elements.com. Dondi, I wasn't looking at the clock. I was busy taking the test. Thank you so much for being on the air with us. That was so much fun. Get the book, The 5 Elements. Learnthe5elements.com. This is WOCA Ocala. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The presidential candidates last night squaring off over taxes, trade, and temperament.
I think my strongest asset, maybe by far, is my temperament. I have a winning temperament. I know how to win. She does not know how to win. Wait.
Fox's Mike Emanuel says Hillary Clinton has repeatedly hammered Donald Trump for his temperament as being unfit for the Oval Office.